right, welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic, where we discuss a different work of nerdy science fiction or fantasy and pair it with a related cocktail. I'm Adam.
I am Sean.
Sean Connery.
And I'm Mike. That was very good.
That's okay.
I didn't have time to warm mine up.
No, yeah, Sean's been practicing in the wings for minutes now.
I couldn't help it.
All right, today we're discussing The Last Wish, an early entry in Andrzej Sapkowski's Witcher series. And we'll be pairing it with what I found to be a white honey potion from the franchise. I'm going to put a fine point on it. It's essentially a hot toddy, which I can see because when I looked up the notes, the white honey is the potion he takes to remove poisons, to wipe out the effect of other spells or other vials he's taken in the course of battle or whatnot. And that's exactly what hot toddies do for me.
Remove poison.
Remove poison, yeah.
Right.
No.
I'd rather put it in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is poison that you remove poison with. But, you know, this one here has been simmered on a stovetop with cinnamon sticks, honey, and lemon. We're using Black Button Bourbon, which is a local distillery from Buffalo. And then there's a garnish of a cinnamon stick in there. So I think we know what we're going to get, but, right, we can still give it a sip and see where we're at with it.
Fuck yeah.
Cheers.
Gentlemen.
Cheers. That's good. That's the best cocktail we've had in a few casts.
There's no anise in it.
I was going to say the lack of absinthe already makes this a top 5 cocktail.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a tea that I got from Salem, Massachusetts called Witch's Brew.
How apropos.
I didn't mean to save it for this cast. I just found it when I was looking for some tea, but it's a black tea blend with a little bit of chamomile, a little bit of anise, and also cinnamon in there. So
there was, right. You lied to me. Motherfucker.
There's like, I don't taste the anise though. Not like if you're drinking absinthe, which is straight black boot licorice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, as a bourbon guy, I'm going to be hard-pressed to sip this slowly. I'll have to
Me too.
watch myself here.
Yeah, and we've all had a pregame as we were setting up today, so I really got to keep that in mind.
I always, when I heard someone say, "I'll have a hot toddy" or whatever back when I was a kid, I used to think, "Is that like some kind of like a whore?" Like a hot toddy. It just sounds like something you would request when you walk into an old saloon. You know, like, "Give me a hot toddy." Well, she's busy right now.
Oh, damn. Well, give me the cold one.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Well, you know, I appreciate the appreciation of the drink, gents. It's just, you know, it's a standby for me in my house. Not feeling well, drink one of these.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, before we get to the show notes on The Witcher, we continue to rank well on Good Pods, among other book and media-related podcasts. And we want to thank everyone for listening over there in the community. They've been awesome, really supportive people. If you enjoy our show and the topics we discuss, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram and say hello. Our handle's at Nerds of Old Republic. If you want to hear what we think about many other nerd-centric topics, don't forget to check out our More Than Just Books blog on Podbean. That is basically such a wealth of knowledge, and I'm going to shout out Mike for that, because he is pretty much the blog master on that one, rating everything under the sun.
I only do it for the money, so...
He is the director of social media for the company. So.
He is. Checks in the mail, and remember that the United States Postal Service is real slow lately.
Right, you keep saying that, and I trust you completely. So.
I think it was in one of those things you heard about in the news where some guy went postal and dumped his mail into a river somewhere. So
yes, dumped. You know, and I think even though it happened like somewhere in the Midwest, I think that affected us somehow.
Oh yeah, it had to.
I mean, you are our Captain Adam, so if you say it must be true. I'll keep working hard, and I'll just trust that the money will come.
I appreciate that. In fact, we're going to make a super yacht reference in a hot second here. So we actually hit 1,000 downloads, guys. Woo!
Cheers.
1,000 downloads in just over a year. So we're real proud here at Nerds of Old Republic, and we're excited. So, you know, that's why we're talking about super yachts, because that's what I'm going to spend my money on, a big old super yacht. I hear there's a few Russian ones for sale lately, so I'll pick one of those
at good prices, surprisingly good.
Just get the manual translated, you should be good.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hard. So again, a big thank you to all of our listeners, both new and old. If you want to read and watch along with us, next episode is actually The Witcher, the Netflix series, not to be confused with The Last Wish, the first book in the entry, or the first entry in the book series. And then in May, we're going to be discussing Marlon James's latest book, Moon Witch Spider King, as well as the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. And oh my gosh, I cannot wait for my copy to come in. I was joking with Mike and Sean that I usually don't buy the books. I borrow them because I'm running out of space. But I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it, so I just had to buy a signed copy. Damn.
How unfortunate.
I know. I took a hit for the team there, too. But I'm so excited for that. I'm looking forward to
it as well.
Real quick, sorry to go off script, but you're saying shout-outs, and I'd just be nice to give a shout-out to the listeners that we have in Ukraine.
Yeah,
we actually have a few.
Of our jokes, yeah.
Yeah, that's for you guys. Thank you.
For sure, yeah.
Stay
Doing
strong.
all we can. Absolutely. And we were looking for some audience feedback, actually, in the last round of things, and it was nice to see some people chime in on the socials, so as I look at the feedback we got, Danny Brown on Twitter was talking about how he was excited for Boba Fett, but found it too plotting, and he actually kind of matched up exactly with what I was saying, at least on the cast, from what I remember.
Agreed, Danny Brown.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We're with you. That was a long night, but I definitely remember saying that it was just too slow.
Yeah.
Too slow.
I think we were very drunk at that point, too.
We were. So I'm appreciating everybody. Thaddeus Howes is the answer man, responded with both great shows with wilding and differing styles of storytelling. That's Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. And he says, they say Boba Fett's controversial for a half dozen reasons. Some good, some bad. Personally, they loved it. And they even kind of preempted our conversation about The Witcher, the show, so I'm going to hold that one for the next episode. So, Thaddeus, if you're listening, also listen for next episode, because you'll be there too.
What a cool name. Can we play Thad?
Tad. Nah, it doesn't sound as good. But, as we're going through here, we even got a couple friends in the podcast land, so Popcorn Pillow Talk. Shout out to you, Popcorn Pillow Talk. I wish Boba Fett didn't have his helmet off for 90% of the show. Boba's not Boba without his helmet. That was a big criticism from a lot of people.
Yeah, it's funny how, Tamora Morrison just can't carry the show without his mask on, or his helmet, and yet, The Mandalorian, you got Pedro Pascal, who's just swaggering all over the place with a helmet on.
With the helmet, yeah. This is a good criticism, and I will admit that it didn't occur to me when I was watching the show, but it occurs now, and I, as the one who defended it, as I recall on our podcast, I'll say that I agree with this one. I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, it's hard to live up to that character's nameplate because so many people saw them, Boba Fett as the baddest motherfucker in town, and then you go into some plotting sort of gangster sort of family building thing, and it just is vastly different.
There's a great Honest Trailers episode out on YouTube too. I don't know if you guys watch Honest Trailers, but it pointed out to me another thing I'll never unsee or forget, which is exactly how much time the actor spends bathing in the show.
Oh, there's a lot.
Quite a substantial amount of time spent bathing.
He loves that back tank.
And it also points out that when he's not bathing himself, he is encouraging others to bathe in the back to tank as well.
Oh,
so
come on over to my house, guys. Yeah. I got a back to tank. It's cool.
That's vaguely rapey.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask that one to be edited out.
It's being used by someone else.
Oh, no. Oh, all right. So. Last quote from some fans over on Boba Fett. I am a Sophisticate, and so can you, the @Sophisticate Pod. Both of them start off shaky, Mando and Boba Fett, but quickly become great. I might say later become great, but if I'm taking, difference with one word, we're basically saying the same thing. I am Sophisticate.
Great is not a word that I would use for either. I would say very good and entertaining.
Yeah,
I reserve my grace.
Entertaining. That's right. Just like I reserve my standing ovations.
Yes.
I don't give them lightly. So, it was great to hear from people. Mike, thanks for roping everybody in and getting some convo on the socials. Hopefully people continue that.
Yeah, just remember, make sure you got my address. You know where that check's coming to, so.
Adam just had his check revoked for saying convo instead of conversation.
Convo.
You know,
We've been working on pacing in the show lately, and that's a great way to do it.
2 syllables. Come on now.
We're not that hard for time, guys.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's talk about the book then. So, this collection of short stories is the second published work in the Witcher series, actually, but it's generally considered the starting point in terms of chronology.
True.
Originally published in Polish, people of my language, in 1993. The English edition came out in 2007, appearing later on the New York Times bestseller list, and in 2011, the Polish Prime Minister actually gave President Barack Obama an autographed copy of the text as a gift.
Dude, that's badass.
That is pretty badass, actually.
What? Do you think he actually read it?
I think Barack Obama reads everything.
Yeah, I do.
Really? I think that went right into the library.
Well, okay, so I'm a political dork, and I happen to know this. Any gift given to a president is actually supposed to be donated to the people and stay at the White House. He could have read it, but he definitely couldn't have taken it.
No, but it's just supposed to go to his library or whatever when they build it, right? Like,
yeah.
So I bet you that's where it is.
It's probably sitting there, yeah. In a glass frame case next to a big old sword, right? All right, so I haven't had any personal background with this text. Did you guys have any previous history with this one?
I have had other than being aware that it's a series that people like and has been around for some time and that it recently became the Netflix show, no. I knew very little about it and I had never read it or watched it.
Well, I've been a fan since reading it in Polish and originally in 1993. No, actually, I heard about it through the video game series, which was pretty popular for a while. It still really is. And then I never really played it, but I knew of it. And then I seen the Netflix show was coming out, and oddly, something my wife and I watched together and enjoy. And then from there, I thought, well, I want to kind of see what the books are about. And I read the first of the saga, or whatever the main storyline books are. Blood of Elves, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I think so. And it was interesting. Interesting enough where I suggested this for a cast. So that's my background.
Let's have a moment too. Considering I'm a video game dork, I'm surprised I never played the games. But I think it was the timing, because as it came out, like in the 2000s, I was graduating high school, college. I didn't play a lot of video games in college.
Yeah.
So, I guess that makes sense. But, all right, then let's get down to it. So, The Witcher is set in a high fantasy genre. Did it measure up to your expectations? I know we've got some very strong feelings about high fantasy in this group here.
Yes. I wasn't expecting greatness from this series. The little bit that I knew about it made it seem like it was a pretty standard Middle Ages European high fantasy, like you said. I was hoping that it would be entertaining. It was entertaining. So yeah, it definitely satisfied that criteria for me.
Cool. Sean? He didn't make his own language, so...
Actually, there is some... elder tongue or something like that.
Yes, when they're in the
you're
valley.
Wrong. There is a language that he does use.
You see, when they're talking to the Sylvan, and I said that, and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot about the elves.
Yeah, but he didn't do let's big elephant in the room here. Clearly, any kind of fantasy is always going to be compared to Tolkien. Always, it's going to measure against Tolkien, and I think with the George Martin's series there's always going to be that conversation too. Although this is contemporary with when Martin was writing A Song of Ice and Fire. So it's
and Andrzej
interesting.
Sapkowski wrote all his books.
Yes, he's finished series. That's right, Martin. Get up your fucking ass. Anyway.
He's got that HBO money, it doesn't matter.
He doesn't give it. He doesn't owe me anything anyway. But I think it's interesting is it's got those elements of Tolkien-esque high fantasy, but it's also got that grounding of a more realistic kind of like George Martin style of fantasy. And it's interesting how he kind of walks that line a little bit. And I love the way that he also brings in a lot of European folklore.
Yeah.
Which is a refreshing addition.
Yeah. I actually, in that first story where he battles the Striga, I was like, this dude's like medieval Batman. Here he is gearing up. He's taking a shot of his potion. He's got his different weaponry for the right times. He's got his, was it silver-studded leather?
Yeah.
So he can, punch the shit out of monsters, because monsters don't like silver. I'm like, this reminds me of, that dark KNIGHT Batman series, where it's, crime fighter back in the time. I was all in. He had me there, like suiting up with the leather wraps and shit. I'm in.
A silver sword, like how badass! His sword is silver. Like that's a soft metal, so you got to know what you're doing with that. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I was really hooked by the first battle series, both the like action, the descriptions, how we got a lot of Geralt like thinking through the plan, but not spending forever plotting and like, now I have to get the Striga over here, and then I have to do... No, he knew what he had to do. Yeah. It's clear that he'd been born and raised for this his whole life, and he was just doing it, and we got to be that, like, omnipotent person behind him just watching the fun.
And I was hooked before it even got to that storyline, too, because I really liked the sort of spaghetti western opening where he comes into the town... And the townspeople are like, hey, stranger, you can't drink here. And, you know, he fucking...
We don't like your kind.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't like your kind drinking around here. And he fucks a few of them up really bad. And then he's got to go meet the marshal, you know. I mean, it's a straight-up Western storyline.
I didn't think about that.
And then it spins off into, like, the castle and the monster and the fantasy quest. But, yeah, I mean, I was really hooked by those opening few pages.
Yeah, like any modern myth, right? He's got the elements of the Ronin, of the Western, of the medieval, the fantasy. It's like he's doing a really good job of blending those things together. Mm-hmm. I was going to say something, buddy. Oh, when you talk about the battle scene stuff,
yeah.
It's very like ballet-like the way he describes it. It's like it's almost like there's some kind of ballroom dance happening with his moves and stuff, and it's
the word pirouette gets used quite a bit.
You're right,
actually, in the description, and not for this cast, but next one when we talk about the TV series, there actually was a lot of training to handle that fighting style, and I got other feelings about that series, but that's for the next episode in 2 weeks. Cool. So we're all on board. I was worried because it didn't have like the world building capacity that Tolkien has, even though, you know, it's a big book. It's a big series, so maybe if you read the whole series, but I know we only picked the first one, so I thought maybe it would be a bit of a knock on the series that it didn't develop a world with multiple races right off the bat, sort of thing.
I kind of like how he just drops you into it, and there's bits and pieces here and there that you pick up about like the monsters and the other races like the elves and things, that he kind of works into it as this background, and it's I find it interesting when you don't have to get this expository dump to really understand what's happening. I like it more when it's just taken for granted, like, yeah, this is the world.
Mm-hmm. And it's also okay for something to be a fairly by the numbers fantasy adventure. I mean, if I had gone into this series expecting it to be, to feel important and feel significant, then I would have very different feelings about the book. But I for whatever reason expected it to just be an adventure and to be fun. And so I didn't ask for greatness from it, and I feel like for the most part, with some things I'm sure we'll get into and some reservations, but for the most part I was entertained.
Yeah, same here. Are you not entertained?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'll tell you what's entertaining, man. This is white honey.
Yeah, there's a little bit more left, actually.
Drinks didn't really last all that long.
My voice is silky smooth now.
I know. Awesome. I'm ready to hit those
you're gonna
bass notes.
Slide right back into your Connery here in a second.
Oh, man.
I could really go for another one.
We've got more. We can pour and talk as we go. Sure, right. Sure. So I'll ask the next question, then we'll start mixing it up here. The book's a collection of short, sometimes interrelated stories, almost very episodic feeling. Did you like that? And were there some effects on the narrative or like the character development that just didn't work for you, or how'd it go?
I mostly liked it. I'm hard to please when it comes to short stories. Short stories aren't my preferred form. I'd much rather read long form where something has time to simmer and develop. I was fine with this. Some of the stories were really interesting. Not interesting enough that I wanted a whole novel out of them, so they worked as what they were. A couple of the stories were, absolute shit that I couldn't wait to be over. But I would say that for the most part, the format and the individual stories worked for me.
No, I agree in most part. I do like short stories, though. I think that they're an art form into their own, and I really appreciate it. But I think the conceit, or the narrative conceit of having Geralt recovering in like this neutral ground where no one can kind of get to him, and it's like he just has time to get back from when the Striga rips his throat open, is an interesting way of a framing device. I didn't really figure it until, was it like 3 or 4 stories in, when you kind of realize like what's going on here. This is all sort of like him talking about things that have happened in his past, and then I guess
talking to the person who won't talk back because they have a vow of silence
that he fucks.
Yeah, I did sort of have issues with that one. Seems kind of hard to give consent when, but I mean, body language.
She was consenting.
Right. Sure.
That was no problem there.
Yeah.
But there was I thought it was interesting how they pulled all of the stories together along this sort of like building a backstory for a character. And I guess at that point, like, really, he was planning to do more with him, but there really hadn't been anything yet. I thought it was an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was clear why video game designers picked it up as a video game. Because if this is their first read and they're looking for some source content, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, is there enough in that drink? You're looking at.
Is there whiskey in there?
There is, but probably not a full pour. There might be a little bit left.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the. Is it good that the last drop? Is anybody else?
It's fine by me.
You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to take this lovely flask that I brought here in a minute.
Yeah.
Drink the rest of his booze.
That's fine. That's what I brought it for.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
This time it'll be Sean slurring his words in the next podcast.
Well, I'll be very Connery.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit cleaner in round 2. If you have been listening, you've probably noticed that we've been recording 2 episodes a night. So I'm trying to make sure that I am able to participate in the next round.
Oh, brownest of the brown. This is Black Button, you said?
Black Button Distillery,
yeah. They do good work.
They do. I like their stuff. So I guess my last question then, before we move on to the lightning round, is you had alluded to it being a including some of the like fairy tales or fables that we may have known growing up. What did you think of that, and can we track how many they worked in?
I mean, there was the horror tropes as well, because there was sort of like the vampire thing that he kills, and then there was like, you know, the folk tales or like the fairy tales kind of stuff. They had like the Beauty and the Beast concept, sort of, with that. What was that? The 2nd or 3rd chapter where he goes to that like castle out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, the claimed child.
Yeah, and the guy was like,
king.
He'd been cursed to be a beast, and so they had.
No, I'm sorry. That's the second. There's the one where he finds this like almost like an abandoned tower off the road, and this monster tries to scare him there, and Geralt's like, "Whatever, bro."
Right.
And he like invites him in. And he starts talking, and he like makes food appear on the table because the house is charmed.
Oh, yeah.
And then the one you're thinking of is towards the end, where it's the Queen Calanthe, there's daughter, wants to marry this dude who takes his face off. He's like a pig or something.
She's been sleeping with him, and I got the impression like a werewolf.
Oh yeah,
it describes his face.
You're right.
His mask is shaped like a snout, and
dog-like.
Yeah, dog-like. Yeah, you saved the king, but I'm not going to let you have her because you're a dog.
And it turns out he's pretty hot or something.
Yeah, after she gives...
After midnight.
Yeah, after midnight, and she gives her daughter to him, she breaks the spell.
Yes.
So, it was a complex way of telling the Beauty and the Beast thing.
A couple of different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty was worked in there, right? There was the poisoned apple that, I forget, somebody was bitching about it. That, they gave me the poison apple and I was terrible. And the dwarves, somebody had the dwarves.
Yeah, he brings in a lot of the Germanic fairy tale stuff. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not sure if it's Germanic in origin, but the you associate with Grimm and like those kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And there was times when he would just list like different kinds of monsters and things that Geralt would go after, and it was all these like, vampire and you know, like all these like things you hear about in
Weird
like Eastern and Central European.
There was a djinn.
Yeah.
Gin, yeah. Gin. So a little bit of Middle Eastern stuff in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and it reminded me how like dark the whole fairy tale thing actually is, and we just whitewash it in America.
Yeah, exactly. I love how Geralt too, as a character, is the skeptic. Like he's the guy who's out there dispatching these things, and that's his job. But he's also the one that's like, "Fuck, man, what are you talking about? Like this isn't real."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a few occasions, right, where somebody's saying something and he's like, "That does not exist. Like, you're full of shit."
When he goes to the edge of civilization, and they're like, "We have a devil."
Yeah.
And they sounded like they were speaking like Welsh or something to me as they're talking to him.
He'll sound like Shrek or
He's
something.
like, "Fuck you." He was being polite, but like essentially, "Fuck you, devil doesn't exist."
Yeah.
And he finds out it's the Sylvan, and in cahoots with the elves, of course.
I like how Sapkowski's elves are very grounded too. Where you think like Tolkien's elves are these angelic, almost kind of like near angel beings, and then you've got like other kinds of elves, or like they live in trees, they're Keebler or whatever. But like his elves, they're just long-lived mortal creatures that may or may not have magical abilities, but they're very much a lot more like a human kind of protagonist. But they're almost like a stand-in for a minority or a race that's being persecuted by the humans, which I thought was a really interesting way to do it.
They're quite vulnerable. They don't have like the the warrior prowess of Tolkien's elves either. They're not like, I mean, they have to like trap Geralt in order to even be imposing or threatening to him in any way. And they don't have like the gravitas that Tolkien's elves have, because like he's fucking headbutting one and they're like calling him an ape man and all this shit.
Yeah.
And, they're very different and interesting for being different.
I like the fact that they're fallen, like their civilization is in decline at the edge of our civilization, and so there's that like conflict between the two. I know that this didn't come from an American writer, but it reminded me very much again of like a Western, where you get, the Americans trying to force out the Native Americans, which is not something we're proud of, but that gets glossed over in every Western.
Right.
But in a way, Sapkowski kind of dealt with that, but probably not having the same background knowledge, or I don't know what the situation was like.
Great analogy, though.
I think that story is common to a lot of places in the world, too. It unfortunately, human beings are dicks.
Yeah.
And that's not unique to the United States.
Yeah.
If you take nothing else away from this podcast, audience, just remember that human beings are dicks.
We're dicks. Yeah. Well, on that note, y'all ready for a lightning round, I guess?
Ding, ding.
All right, let's get it.
Is this one where you have to bell in?
Yeah, I'm going to give Mike
let me
the
take
bell.
that.
We have two bells here. So, I will watch and listen for the first person to ring in, and then you have to answer correctly. And if you're tuning in for the first time, the points don't mean much except for pride, but that's really all we got here some nights is our pride. So really, it's a lot. All right. How do you say the Witcher's name? Because I fuck up every name.
Geralt.
Geralt.
Yeah.
Geralt.
We don't even know.
See, no, we don't know.
What do they say in the show? Isn't it Geralt?
Geralt, I think.
Geralt, yeah. All right, so Geralt carries two swords. For whom is each sword? Oh, that was Mike.
The silver one is for monsters, and it's iron, I think, is for humans.
He does say iron, yeah. I was going to clank you on if you said it was steel, but it's iron.
All right.
Yep.
See, when you said that thing before about us having to answer correctly, that's what threw me. I didn't know that. I would have...
It matters. Yeah.
These things would have been going very
I would have won!
Well, that was well done, Mike. I actually didn't know the iron part of it.
Yeah.
All right.
And then occasionally he says, no, this one's for both. When he talks about the iron.
Whatever suits the story.
Mm-hmm. So I have a limited list here, but I went through the book and I picked ingredients from his potions. Name as many ingredients in the potions as possible. If you ring in, you can respond.
Nightshade?
Yes.
I
know.
Krupnik?
Would make sense. Not listed.
Alright, I got Nightshade. That's all
one.
I got.
Mike, I may have stumped you guys for the first time ever.
King's foil?
No.
The last? No.
Absinthe and gin?
That was our potion for the last two episodes.
No, I don't know any of them.
Yeah, this was actually harder than I expected.
So, the degree of difficulty, man. Damn.
Yeah, I went a little too hard here. So, Wolfsbane.
Oh, yeah.
That's in one. Spurge.
Oh, of course. How could I forget?
Oh, how could you forget the Spurge?
I think it's pronounced spooge.
Yeah, I don't want to picture Henry Cavill drinking spooge. So, well, you said it. So, I was going to say
you went there.
Hawthorne was another one. Stramonium. Yep. It's listed one time. And then Veritum.
Oh, I grow that in my backyard,
Yeah.
Don't
That's to help you tell the truth.
Yeah.
It was in the first potion. Most of those were in the first thing he took to fight the streak.
Oh, and corn syrup.
Yes, corn syrup. Processed corn syrup from General Mills. Just kidding. Fine people, General Mills, we love you. Please stay in Buffalo. Okay. All right, last question is a similar listicle here.
It's tied, right?
It is. Yes, it is tied, actually, because you answered correctly this last one. So this question actually matters. How many monsters from The Last Wish can you name? Ooh, Mike buzzed in. Just a cock block.
There's the Striga.
1.
There's werewolves.
2.
Vampires.
3.
Gin.
Yes, 4. I thought you said gin at first, because you keep saying gin. But you're right,
with
4.
a D. With a D.
Yeah.
That might be it. I think I got 4.
4 is pretty good.
All right.
Can you add on to that list?
Fuck.
That's all you have to do is add on 1.
The devil. Or the Sylvan.
Oh.
Okay, if you didn't say Sylvan, I wasn't going to give it to you, but yeah.
Hang on, there might be more. There's that thing that he kills that nobody wants. The Kakamora or the
Kikamora is how it's spelled, but you know me in words.
The Kikamora.
Yeah.
So that should count for something.
Yeah, you're two ahead. You got it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Because I presume you could have repeated his list. That he
I'll be
all right, now I'm going to make... No, I'm not.
Just call this one a draw, because I think Mike...
Wait, you're giving him the point? I named 4.
Can you name any? Can you name any he did, just to make sure Mike doesn't feel like we're cheating?
the Striga,
He's gonna clog up at 3.
The vampire, the werewolf.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other ones,
like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
The mummy.
Toxic monster.
Toxic Avenger.
Yeah. Other ones. Basilisk was involved.
Yeah, dragons are in there too.
Yep, dragons, Vespers. And then a whole ton that I can't pronounce. I'm not even gonna try.
lots of like Slavic sounding things that are just really. There's a lot of vowels in there.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I could have the list in front of me. I could have the phonetics, and I'd still screw it up.
I'm willing to offer a draw on this one.
I'll settle for a draw.
All right.
I feel like
this is like
prize, Adam.
This is like the Von Miller trade. I just made out big on that one. I'm the Bills, and you're the LA Rams, man.
Yeah, they weren't going back to the Super Bowl again anyway. So
that's true.
Yeah, no, we should set up some sort of trophy maybe at the end of the season and engrave your name in it. Just a little like silly ass trophy.
I'm thinking we should get a silver sword or something in.
Ooh, that's more expensive.
Like Lord Stanley's sword, you know.
I'm already mailing a check to Mike out of my own pocket here, so I don't know about that, but
well, you might have to stop, like downsize your mega yacht a little bit, and then we can get the silver sword, full size claymore.
Okay.
For all the times I have to put my name on it.
So no helicopter for the helicopter landing pad.
Yeah.
No, have the pad, because we can always, maybe after season 2, we can get...
That's true.
Or we could just forego the support raft, or the support yacht that supports the mega yacht.
Yeah, well, but where are my human aides, my servants, my butler, and everybody going to go? They can't stay on my yacht.
Were you avoiding saying the word slave?
I was trying not to say servants. I was not going to say slave.
My administrative assistants.
Yeah, the one who makes my food, and the one who makes my bed, and the one who wipes my brow while I'm tanning.
Well, at least he's wiping that, and not something else.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there.
It's really great that podcasting provides all these benefits, because it's not even hard. That's the best part.
Isn't this how Jeff Bezos got rich?
I'm pretty sure. Dear audience, what they don't know is I'm just maxing out my credit cards to send them checks. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, wait, there are checks going?
No.
If anything, I think we owe you money.
Don't worry about it. Well, I think we've come to that time of the night. What do we say here recommendation-wise? Are we going to say yes or no on The Last Wish?
I'll say yes. With the same qualification that I said before. It's not, it's not very important or literary fantasy, but if you're looking for a fun fantasy adventure in the traditional vein of European Middle Age kind of theme, then this is good. It does the trick. It's fun,
and there's plenty of source material.
Yes,
lots of books.
Absolutely,
it's definitely the best Polish-based book I've ever read.
Because it's the only one.
Yes. No, it's a fun romp. Like Mike said, it's not profound, but it's just good fun for if you like that kind of stuff, like fantasy and all that. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, And there's nothing saying that every fantasy book you pick up has to be some sort of like, you know, zeitgeist-driven narrative of the century or something like that. You can just have fun.
Although someday in a future cast, when we read the Silmarillion, Adam, you are in for a moment because Mike and I are going to go full nerd on that thing.
I'm going to feel so underpowered that conversation. It's going to be worse than when we talk Star Wars.
We're going to have to make sure that like weed is freely available in New York at that point because I think you're going to need it for that. It's going to be eye-opening.
Man! Or all those scenes, I know it's not the same chemical, but those scenes from, what is it? The movie where they do lots of heroin.
Trainspotting?
Not Trainspotting, no, there's another one.
Requiem for a Dream?
Requiem for a Dream, where like they have that zoom in on the eyeball and the pupil just like dilates huge open. Yeah. You guys both say something, I'm like,
that'll come through on the podcast.
Yes, you're gonna hear Adam's pupils dilate.
That's gonna hurt so much. No, I will look forward. We're gonna have to schedule that up because I look forward to that one too. You know, I like going both to the newer material that I've not been exposed to, and then to the older material I should have been exposed to. Should have spent time on this. So that's 3. That's unanimous, right? I think we're in agreement here. That's all right. Bing. So that's us for this episode. Thanks for listening, and please give us a rating wherever you listen. It really does make a big difference when you rate, even if it's a star. Don't feel like you have to give a review, though that helps too. You know, it just helps other like-minded nerds find us. Check us out on Good Pods, great community there, and on all the socials. We are, again, one last time, at Nerds of Old Republic. Thanks for listening, and keep it nerdy. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.